Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Zen Garcia.
Noble George, and he's the husband of Lisa, and most of you are well aware now. Lisa has been co-hosting shows for quite a while with us now, and that has been an awesome blessing as well. But tonight we're gonna talk about one of the uh, inventions, one of the things that Noble has been working on, and how he got involved in this. And this is with the EMF blockers, which we do provide at sacredwordpublishing.com. And I have to say that um, it is something that I think everybody needs, and it's certainly something that I use every day, really, when I'm working on my computer, and it will help to block the radiation from your Wi-Fi. And for those that may be sensitive to electronics or frequencies or vibration, um, I certainly do believe it will help you in that regard as well. But Noble, are you there, brother?
Yes, I am. How are you doing today, then?
I'm doing good. I'm
Good.
sure you're doing awesome in Hawaii as well. And did you guys catch any
No,
waves today or do anything fun?
no, there's no fun here. There's a lot of work.
Right, yeah.
We drive by the beach every day, going down to our house in Makaha, and there's waves. And Lisa's saying, "Wow, look at those waves! I want to go surfing." I says, "Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Sure, you would love to."
Oh,
But
yeah, that's awesome.
that happened because we're just busy. We're busy working. It's if it's not hosting your shows like Lisa is, or
Mhm.
teaching, it's again remodeling homes, it's just nonstop. So gotta make a living.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've also been doing a show where you've been teaching Hebrew for a very long time now. And so, can you talk about that and how it is and when you got involved with the study of Hebrew and also what it was that led you in that direction?
And back in 1996, when I started attending seminary, Bible college here in Hawaii, um, my pastor was told me that I need to find a, Bible college because all the questions I'd ask him, I was burning him out. 2 years of asking him the question. And he says, "Noble, you're burning me out. There's a Bible college, so up in Apollo, go there." And so I started attending just because I wanted to know more. And two classes for the first semester turned into three the next semester, four the following, five the following. I started going full time there, and didn't realize that I was accumulating all these credit hours. And there came a time when my advisor says, "Noble, you're going to be graduating soon." What do you mean? I said, "Yeah, well, all the classes, you know." And, well, does it mean I have to stop? No, you can take graduate level classes now if you want. I go, "Oh, okay." And so I got all these credit hours, I got all these degrees, and it's only because I just wanted to know the Lord, like everybody else on your channel. They want to know God, and Yeshua more, and so the desire was there. And but the funny thing is that the first semester I was there at the Bible college, I told my advisor, I want to take Greek, biblical Greek. He goes,
Right.
"Why? Why would you want to do that?" I said, "I think, wouldn't it be better you take some theology courses, some Bible classes, and this?" I said, "No, I want to be able to read the Bible in its original language." And he highly advised me not to, but I said, no, I was determined. So he let me. And I took 4 semesters of Greek, biblical Greek. And that was great because I got to read Koine Greek. After that, I said, "What can I do now?" And he said, "Well, you can take Hebrew." I said, "Yeah, sign me up." And I took a year of biblical Hebrew there, and um, something about Hebrew is just different from Greek. I mean, Greek is good. Learn to read the New Testament, learn to learn about Yeshua, Jesus, because he's mentioned in the New Testament. But as we all know, that Yeshua also was in the Old Testament, just
Yeah,
not in his incarnated form, right? So
right.
that was the reason why I started to take languages, because I just wanted to know the Bible more, and it hasn't stopped. Actually, the reason why I've been teaching biblical Hebrew on YouTube is because of you, Zen. Yeah, you're the reason
Yeah, that's very cool.
you're the one. You said, "Hey, I want to learn some biblical Hebrew too," and I said, "Well, okay, well, let me pray about it." And it took me a long time praying about it, and you kept reminding Lisa and me, "Hey, are you still going to teach some biblical Hebrew to me?" I said, "Yeah, I should." And the funny thing is, when you start teaching it versus just learning it from a teacher, um, I think you pay a lot more attention, and you go back and you reread the material and you reread it again and reread it again, and so you have a grasp of it. So that, as an instructor, you have to have a good working knowledge of the language,
Right,
right? So, or any
right.
class, so you forced me to learn my Hebrew even more, and I got to thank you. I
Awesome.
never did thank you for that, but thank you, Zen.
No, thank you, brother. I know a lot of people are greatly appreciative, and you are a natural when it comes to being an instructor or a leader in guiding others. You make everything fun, and so I know a lot of people appreciate that as well. And so, can you tell people where they can go to follow, support you in doing and studying with you, and also anything else as far as social media that you'd like to share.
Sure. Well, ever since we started teaching biblical Hebrew on your platform, you know,
Right,
and we did that for what, almost a year? Over a year. Over a year, we taught that. Um, that was the impetus to get us going and starting our own channel. And Justin and you and Joy mentioned that, yeah, we should start our own channel because it's up. And we started to run with it. And the fact that teaching the basic principles of Hebrew was fun. I mean, I had to do it so many times. We sang that Hebrew song, I mean, and it was eye-opening for a lot of people because they wanted to learn. A lot of people wanted to learn biblical Hebrew, and I have to say that I haven't been teaching it lately because even though we've gotten over 1,000 subscribers now and supposedly are able to monetize, there hasn't been no money coming in. So I've got to work the regular job where I've got to pay the bills so I can get Lisa to stay at home and she can read all the books that you put out.
right
So
on.
it works out that way, and but ever since we came out with the EMF blockers, and your online store has been promoting it for us. That has been filling in a void, um, not the entire void, but a part of it, and that's great. And the only reason why is because Lisa was very sickly before. Yeah, she was very in poor health, and we were looking at all the different ways and things that could be affecting her health. And when I started learning about EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, come to realize that this is the new cigarettes um, for this millennia, where
Mhm.
cigarettes was a popular thing. It was so cool to be smoking cigarettes. The manufacturers denied any health um, risks and said that no, there's no health risk smoking cigarettes. And it took tens of years, what, 30, 40 years for the health results to come out, and for class action lawsuits to come out, where the tobacco industry finally admitted that there were some health situations that were at risk when you smoke their products. And what happened then is happening now with EMFs, because EMFs is the new cigarettes, we cannot do without it. It's hard to go without. Everybody has a cell phone. I mean, literally everybody has a cell phone.
We could do our contact information to our email.
Oh, yes. So yeah, so then that's why I started getting into studying about EMS, because I wanted to make sure I could protect Lisa from any more damage that she was experiencing in her health, and just wanted her to be better and healthier so she could live out her life with me, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Um, while we can, Lisa, would you mind just describing, the effect of the EMF waves on you? What kind of sensitivities you had, and how it made you feel, and how you were able to notice a difference once Noble was able to create the EMF blocker.
Yeah, I just feel like because of
Get closer to the mic.
Okay, sorry. Because of the other, is that better? You hear me all right?
Yes, much better.
Because of the other health conditions that I had, like, I just feel like I was so much more sensitive, and I didn't know what was going on at first, just because Noble, when Noble and I first got married, he had quite a few large screen TVs all around the house. And I wasn't used to, as I shared with you before, I wasn't used to having so much media all over the place, and moving into his house, and because compared to where I was living in kind of like a really wet environment where it rained almost every night in the city, I lived in the mountains here, and coming to live at Noble's house is totally different. It's like the desert, very close to the beach, and in a city that was planned beforehand. So there's actual wires that are underneath all the streets here. Like you can't see wires up as like in the city I came from, which is quite a bit older. And so I noticed a difference just being in this house where I would have a lot of issues sleeping. I'd feel kind of like parts of my body were burning at certain times, and I couldn't explain where it was coming from. I just kept feeling I'm hot, and I'd feel like I'm this burning going on. So Noble started researching, and I was researching too what in the world what was up, and we noticed these towers, and this is like maybe 5 years ago. We noticed the towers. For the 5G towers coming up all over the place, as they are all over the US now, of course. But here in Hawaii, they were trying to disguise them at first, like make them look like a palm tree, but you could see a fake metal palm tree with all these huge 5G looking
speakers, or
I don't know what you even call those. But you can see it at the nearby high school where Isaac graduated from, which is just a few blocks from our house. They have some of the largest ones on the island, like hanging right over the football field. And so, I mean, and the kids that go there, I've even talked to some, and I had friends that worked at the high school, and they had no idea what those things even were. They just knew that the school system in that particular school got extra funding for having that up. And since they were so near our house, I feel like that was affecting me a lot too. So Noble can explain all the things that he's done to modify our house, and the changes. I noticed changes almost immediately just from the small things that we started doing, like getting rid of the microwave. That was a big one. Taking down a lot of the big screen TVs all over the place.
I had a TV in every bedroom, one in the kitchen. I even had one in the master bathroom.
One in the bathroom,
Yeah, but we got a nice big what do you call that? A jacuzzi tub, and so we'd be soaking in the tub, and we could just turn the TV on in the bathroom, and just it was just luxury, right?
Oh, sweet. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, now we are down to 2 TVs. One in the living room and one spare bedroom, and that's it. So at least it's happy.
But no, I don't know if you were ready for. I moved away from the mic. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're ready for him to describe actually what he did to our house to modify everything yet, Zen.
That'll be later,
I do want to do that, but before we go there, I wanted to make a comment and then get you both to comment on this as well. And what I wanted to say is that it's only recent, since cell phones have been become such an integral part of our lives, and Wi-Fi, and the wireless streaming and all of that people have noticed, and especially when they put, like, these big antennas on top of schools or in churches, and like, in the crosses, they'll put the microwave devices and all of that to boost the signals. But it has affected people. And I remember there was this one girl that used to work for me, and she was always on the phone, just could not be talking to her family. And as soon as she ended one conversation, she would call somebody else. I mean, she was just addicted to talking on the phone. But I had warned her about, the radiation and how it could affect, and cause even tumors or
Yeah.
things like that. And she didn't believe me, but then she ended up having this egg-sized tumor grow in right near her ear. And she asked the doctors, and of course the doctors said there was no connections, and there was no, that cell phones didn't do that kind of thing or affect you in that kind of manner. But then, she kept talking on the phone in a similar manner, and another growth came up, and unfortunately ended up taking her life. And she was like 25 years old and had 4 kids, and just young and vivacious, had everything going for her, and but that
Wow.
affected her negatively, and it took her life. But I've also seen stories of people that that have the antennas on top of like the colleges, and all the people that used to work in the top level right beneath the antenna, they ended up all having different kinds of cancers. And of course, we are not medical doctors, and this is not any kind of like medical advice, and certainly we have to be careful in as far as stating such. But there does seem to be linkage in that manner when you do the research. And so just wanted to ask you, your opinion on that, and then how it was you were able to modify the house. And I'll get both of you to comment quickly, and then we'll move forward.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that part. First of all, then, if you don't mind, I'd like to, for some people, they may not even know what an EMF is, and
Uh-huh. Yeah,
and there are
please elaborate.
types of EMFs. Yes, and EMF, which stands for electromagnetic frequency. Each EMF has its own frequency, which is the number of waves that will pass through a fixed point per second. Now, frequency is measured in units called hertz, okay, which is again named after that 19th century German physicist, Heinrich Hertz, and it's abbreviated with a capital H and a small z, HZ. So 1,000 hertz is a kilohertz, for example. 1 million hertz is a megahertz, and 1 billion hertz is a gigahertz. Now, EMF comes from both natural sources, such as sunlight and lightning, and man-made sources such as cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, electrical wiring, microwave ovens. Anything that has a plug will essentially have its own type of frequency, and they exist from a spectrum of, again, extremely low frequency, abbreviated ELF, ELF, not to be confused with the movie ELF, but extremely low frequency is from 3 hertz to 300 hertz. So not that high of a band, but it goes all the way up to the gamma rays, which has a frequency greater than 10 to the 22nd power. So that's 10 with 22 zeros after it. Now, if you can
Wow.
even in that number, that's more than quadrillion. That's just a lot. And when you talk about gamma rays, I think of the show, the Hulk. The Amazing Hulk.
Right. Yeah.
It says, Hulk smash, right? And he got exposed to gamma rays, and of course it messed him up. But in real life, you get exposed to gamma rays, you're not going to live very long. You may turn green, but you're not going to live long.
Horrible.
Purple
Right.
and who knows what other host of colors.
Oh my
So for everybody out there that's listening, EMFs, understand that this is a problem that not many people can actually be able to explain or share. And understanding this is very important because you have EMFs all around you in your house. And you mentioned earlier that this person would be talking on their phone all the time.
Right.
There are ladies that carry their cell phones in their bra, right
Uh-huh.
to their breast. Countless of those women have cancer, tumors in their breast, and it's not related to the typical breast cancer, but it's something that's from the phones.
We have friends that happened to, actually. It's so horrible that the lack of information given out about the cell phones. I mean, it's there, but then when you buy the cell phone, you get this like 100-page long, tiny writing of all these warnings and everything. And it will say it, but how many people are going to actually go through and read all of that?
Well, not many people, because they say that you're not supposed to hold the phone up to your ear. Right. In fact, you're supposed to keep it so many inches away from your body when you're talking. So they gave you this little earplugs to wear, or you just put it on speakerphone and you speak through the speakerphone. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, people don't realize this, and they just put it up against their ears or sleep with it at night on their chest. I mean, God, just the number of things that they do, not thinking that it's a dangerous item, but it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And again, this is, our opinion. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions. But certainly there is this kind of sensitivity. Even on that show Breaking Bad, they portray an individual that has sensitivity to electronics and even lights, and lights and all electronics, computers, phones, everything. So, but anyways, please continue.
No, so and you were talking about that sensitivity. There are people, and they say about 3% of the population have a hypersensitivity to EMFs, and this hypersensitivity. I mean, people they can't function. It is so bad. It's like the hairs on the back of their neck is raising up, and they get these pinpricks, and they're so uncomfortable. But for the majority of the people, there's no sensitivity to it, and that may be a good thing and yet a bad thing, because if they were hypersensitive, they wouldn't be able to live where they're living. In fact, if Lisa has a link, I sent her a link.
Yeah, I'll put that up.
It's a TED talk on a gentleman that talks about his hyper electrosensitivity to EMFs, and Lisa's going to put it up in the chat. Watch this YouTube video, and your jaw will be open, and you'll be saying, "What, really?" And this guy, he's saying he there's really no place that he can move to live because of the fact that it's all around. It's all around. Yeah, and I feel for him because he can sense it, whereas I can't. But yet, being damaged in the same way, he's just being more hypersensitive to the damage being done to him.
Now, for the people that do not have access to the chat room or that may listen later to the archives, can you give the name of the individual and so that they can look it up and find it for themselves later?
Yes. Okay, it's the Wireless Wake Up Call by Jeremy Johnson, and it's the TEDx Berkeley TED Talk. So Jeremy Johnson, again, he gives an unbelievable testimony on it, and if anybody has ever watched a TED Talk, very insightful, very articulate people that are on this on whatever topics they're talking about, and he pretty much lays it on the line what's all about and what's happening and what's gonna happen, because it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. So there's nothing good to look forward to when it comes to technology. I mean,
Now,
yeah,
why is that? Can you explain, give detail on why is that? Because of the frequencies becoming faster and more destructive? Uh,
yes. Let me share this. Okay, and again, this is like your learning the alphabet in biblical Hebrew. Okay, EMFs are typically classified into two major groups: ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. And ionizing means that a particular EMF has enough energy to disrupt the structure of an atom by knocking off one of its tightly bound electrons, transforming that neutral atom into an ion with a positive charge. I know I'm getting into the physics now, but if you just hear me out, ions are a problem because they can produce free radicals, and free radicals are simply molecules that have become ionized and have found nothing to latch onto. Kind of like a leech. And when they latch onto something, they're so that they can remove their unbalanced charge. These free radicals by themselves are really not that dangerous because your human body requires a certain level to stay healthy. The problem comes
In a single
when
minute, your body produces
well,
120 to
hold
180
on,
million red blood
break.
cells. People ask Google 2.4 million questions, and 25 million Coca-Cola products are consumed. Many of those bottles will end up in a landfill where the World Bank estimates we produce 5 million pounds of garbage. 108 human lives will be lost in this minute, and an adult male will lose 96 million cells. Fortunately, 96 million cells divide, replacing those lost. Speaking of divisions, in the USA, 1.5 people get divorced, while worldwide, 116 people will get married, 83,300 people have sex, but only 258 babies will be born, and a fetus is developing neurons at a rate of 250,000 per minute, so it's no wonder that a computer simulation takes 60 quadrillion bytes to simulate a minute. An average of 1.38 micrometers of rain fall around the world, which is 4.7 billion bathtubs of water every minute. And with the storms comes approximately 6,000 bolts of cloud-to-ground lightning hitting the Earth. A 150-pound person expends 1.1 calories of energy per minute while sleeping, while the sun provides us with 83.33 terawatts of energy. The Earth will complete 1,800 kilometers of its 940 million around the sun, moving 1,034 times faster than a cheetah. 70,000 hours of Netflix are watched, 300 hours are uploaded to YouTube, and you can watch this video and subscribe.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. But somewhere, we lost our way. Western culture is once again remembering the healing benefits of CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? Life is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to ialife.com now. That's AYA life.com.
If there's something you want to achieve, you can achieve any freaking thing you want as long as you know what the goal is. That's why goal posters or goal boards or even just telling someone what your goals are, writing them down is so important, because once you can identify your goal, it makes it so much easier to work towards it. And that's something that I think our children are not being taught in the school system right now, is how to set a proper goal. It's like, hey, what do you want to achieve? Well, the teacher gave me these things I want to achieve. Okay, well, what's that going to do for you? Well, I don't know. The teacher said I had to do it. Okay, that's great, but it doesn't teach them the logical thought process or the creative thinking process to develop a goal and then reverse engineer what they need to do to accomplish that goal. And we need more of that true goal setting in our society. Otherwise, we just have a bunch of sheep who have no idea what they're doing. They're just bumbling around. Don't be a sheep, be a goat. They're more creative and adventurous anyways. Be an ornery goat.
Tuned into the truth frequency. Your protection from this city. Frequency radio.
All right. That was a really strange commercial.
Yeah, and usually it plays just a little bit longer, but all right. Welcome back, everybody, and let me just turn it back over to you and let you continue uh, with your thought and what you were speaking about.
Thank you, Zen.
Yeah.
I was talking about ionization and non-ionization. Again, and the reason being is that when we understand these basic processes, then we can see exactly what's being done to our bodies when we're being inundated with EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. Um, again, um, free radicals are simply molecules that have become ionized, and they they need something to latch onto. So here now, the body can use free radicals, but today with the man-made frequencies and technologies that we have an excess of free radicals inundating our body, and they attack the complex and precisely formed molecules of your cell membranes, the proteins, the stem cells, the mitochondria, and they convert them to damaged and useless cells. Now, what's the neat thing is that the body actually does repair itself, but it can only repair itself so fast. With the amount of EMFs out there, I think there's more damage that's being done than the body can actually replace and keep up replacing. So ionizing radiation can also cause DNA damage. And when you talk DNA, now we're going down deep. Non-ionizing radiation does not have enough energy to create ions that ionizing radiation does. So you don't have to worry about turning into the Hulk or anything like that. But the non-ionizing radiation that has been regarded as safe and biologically harmless has actually now been shown to be just as dangerous. And you said, what? You mean non-ionizing can also do damage to me? Yes, it can. And the type of damage that it does, again, it's a different type of damage, but just as dangerous, just as cancer, or I should say, tumor causing as anything else. So, what kind of radiation is produced by non-ionizing radiation? Cell phones, which everybody has, wireless devices, which includes baby monitors. Believe it or not, baby monitors. Take that out of your baby's rooms. Cordless phones, smart appliances, smart meters. And when you consider that, that's a lot of things that we have in our house. And not all forms of non-ionizing radiation are damaging, but there are some that are very damaging, and hopefully I can get into that, just so that the audience will have a working understanding of what's happening here. Visible and infrared lights are forms of non-ionizing radiation that are important for human health. And that's the kind of lights that you get from the sun, or from lightning. But in the sun, you're getting your vitamin D, and that's needed. Not only does it give you a nice looking tan, for most some people, at least as a wannabe, it's always going into the beach at a tan, but we all need vitamin D, and the most natural way is going out in the sun and getting 15 minutes of exposure every day makes a big difference. Now, how do you get vitamin D from the sun when it's freezing cold out there? I don't know. You guys tell me how you guys do it, because we don't live in a freezing cold. And I give you credit. If you can get your sun out there, get it. But I know it's cold, so I can't blame you if you don't want to get it. But non-ionizing radiation causes genetic damage, again, which can lead to, again, tumors and death. It's so complex, because it talks about indirect way of ionizing radiation damages DNA. When the free radicals are in your body, they cause this thing called hydroxyl free radicals, and this highly unstable radical can then go on to cause its own DNA damage. So hydroxyl free radiation radicals are coming from ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation can also damage DNA but in a totally different way. Wireless radiation results in DNA and biologic damage that is nearly identical to the harm caused by ionizing radiation. And what it does, it actually hits the um, um, how can I explain this? It creates a what's it called? Carbonyl free radical instead of hydroxyl radical, and it affects the water in your body. And so these are just some of the ways that it damages you. You also have to understand if that EMFs also calls pulsations or non-pulse EMFs. And when Thomas Edison created electricity, or was giving credit for creating electricity, it was DC electricity, direct current. This is what you get from batteries, battery operated things. And in the United States, 60 hertz was the standard for direct current. Well, along comes Nikola Tesla. Everybody knows Tesla, not from the cars, but they should know from the cars. But the original Tesla created alternating current, and alternating current again travels not in one direction like DC current, but goes back and forth. It travels in two directions, and those two directions it now started to cause some issues because now we're being exposed to a different type of energy, where DC was safe because you get that from the sun and from lightning, but alternating current is totally man-made, and that's the dangerous part too, because when you go into a person's home and they flick on the light switch, they don't think about it where the energy comes from, but it comes from AC, alternating current. When you go to your refrigerator to pull out a drink, a beer or something, it's like, wow, this is so nice. I have cold products. Or you go to your stove or your oven or your microwave, turn your air conditioner on. You got alternating current happening in your house. And if you had a house built recently, you probably have this type of wiring in your walls called Romex, which is a plastic casing that covers the wires and the ground wire that's going all over your house. Guess what? The energy from those Romex wires are going right through your drywall, right at 6 to 8 feet from where they're at. So every time you see an outlet or you see a light switch, you have energy coming out from those wires going to the center of the room. If you're in a 10-foot by 10-foot bedroom and the energy is going 6 to 8 feet, and you have outlets around the entire room, and you have a light above you, and if you're on the second floor, you have wires below you, you're getting zapped from every direction, sides, top, bottom. This is all EMF. These are all frequencies that you're experiencing, through your body. And the scary thing is that your body can handle so much, but it can only handle so much. Now with wireless technology, that's just adding on to the alternating current, the electricity that's happening in your house, in your room, and we can't see it or feel it unless you're hypersensitive. What do you think about that? Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, very crazy. And so,
Yeah, and just to comment on that, so not only are we getting bombarded by where we live, but also the cities are setting up and trying to establish wireless internet, 5G everywhere, for all people, and they've been pushing it, and I know that there's an ulterior motive behind these kind of things as well, but certainly that's not made public knowledge, or even the effects, or that there is any kind of effect. That all of that is still really denied and called conspiracy, really.
Hasatan had a wonderful plan when he came out with cigarettes, because
Uh-huh.
thousands of people would die, from emphysema and all these other tobacco-related illnesses. But now with this new type of cigarette, which is invisible and you can't see and feel unless you're hypersensitive,
You're
thousands and
talking about the
thousands.
vape,
I'm sorry,
vaping? Are you talking about
vape,
vaping? Yes.
vaping. Well, vaping is a whole new animal. Yeah, it's an electronic cigarette, right? So you're getting zapped by EMFs in your mouth by inhaling whatever device you're using, and then you're getting all that metal chemicals that's going into your body. So you're getting it in two different ways, chemicals and EMFs. So yeah, Hasatan's idea is the sooner he kills us, and if you don't know Yeshua yet, then you die without Yeshua, and guess where you go?
Right.
And that's the master plan. I mean, really, it
Yeah.
boils down. With the EMFs, he is again bringing this technology to light because, when we first started with cell phones, it was 3G. And 3G means third generation. Then after 3G came 4G. Because countries that are high tech wants the cutting edge technology, and 4G was the cutting edge technology where third world nations were still with 3G, and they were happy for that. They say, hey, send me your 3G phone if you're buying a 4G phone. Well, now with the release of 5G phones, right, which is the big wave, everybody wants to get the current item. And what does 5G offer you? It offers quicker download speeds, faster connection, greater bandwidth, low latencies. It's just there's so many promises, and it all looks good. The internet is faster. Now you're having smart cities. Like you mentioned, cities that have towers and all on the buildings above offices and whatnot, and now you can also hook up rural areas, with 5G, and so the exposure is greater now. But the thing about that is that now you're also looking at a totally different frequency. It's not an increase, it's a different bandwidth of frequencies that you're adding on to the 3G and 4G. So now we're getting exposed to 3, 4, and 5G radiation. And this is not good because 5G is what they call millimeter waves, MMWs. And the reason why they call it millimeter waves is that 5G measures their frequency by the millimeters. I mean, it's how many millimeters goes through a certain point per second. And that's crazy because the numbers we're looking at, remember when I was sharing about like how gamma rays were 10 to the 22nd power? It's crazy numbers like that are going through per second. And so what am I saying? Your tissue, your human tissue, the nucleus of your cells have this radiation passing through them in the billions per second, and it's causing havoc in your body. And so people don't realize this, but this is what's happening when you're on your 5G phone or you're next to a what do you call those, modem or wireless router, and it's in your house, and if you got security cameras, and I do, believe it or not, that also assists in all of these waves going through your house. And it's nuts because when you step out of your house and you go out on the road, you're getting it from your car. When you're going into the city, you're getting it from the cities. And all you have to do is just look up and look around, and there you go. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, we have a. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Sherry Papin asking, would adding solar energy help with the amount of EMF that you receive? Yeah, guess what, Sherry? When we put solar panels on our roof, I didn't realize that we have those micro inverters that's underneath the panels, and those micro inverters will go right through the roof, right to your ceiling, right into your house. And so later on, I'll tell you what I did to help um, how to counteract the solar panels that are on my roof. And the smart people now will put solar panels out on a field or away from the house and just wire it into your house. So now
Uh-huh.
you don't have all that electricity and electromagnetic frequencies coming through your roof, like most people are. And even with the Tesla smart roofs and you know how they're making um, the roof tiles as solar panels in a sense now. The technology is so great, it's so smart, and yet it's still so dangerous, you know?
Dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And what I was gonna say was just that I think this is also part of what Christ said when, unless the days be shortened, there should be no flesh left. And, I don't think it's just the genetically modified foods and all the snake bite and all the medical stuff and everything, but definitely the radiation and a lot of that is, things that we don't consider and don't really even necessarily understand as far as their effects on our bodies, our health, our children, uh, generations. I mean, and this technology is just marching, accelerating, going forth without any kind of looking back, and nobody even realizes, the full extent of what exposure to these kind of things can do, to the DNA, to genetics, and all that.
Yes. Because physicians have no idea about the health concerns from EMFs. When a person goes into their what do you call it? Their PCP, their primary care physician, they will probably diagnose it as something else, and yet not even consider the EMF potential.
Right.
And so going to your doctor is not going to solve the problem when you're being poisoned and intoxicated by all these EMFs around you. I mean, you could say, I have a migraine headache, or, for some reason, I have a sore on my body here. And, physicians are not equipped. Well, nobody's equipped to diagnose what EMFs can do because this has come out so quickly that there's no long-term studies that will be able to help us diagnose what's going on with our ailing bodies. And the young and the aged are the first victims because they are the ones that are least protected. Um, and so when you see a baby or a toddler or a child on an iPad, for example, or the parents give them a cell phone so they can talk to grandma and grandpa, that's you're doing the child a disservice because the radiation goes right through their skull, especially for young babies or children that are still developing, and they don't realize what's being done because this is where brain cancer comes in. And what type of brain cancer we really can't say because they have no long-term studies yet done on this.
Right.
And it's a scary thing. A lot of parents will say, here, put this iPad in front of the kids so it keeps them busy,
Right.
not knowing of the EMFs coming from it. And, again, this is a shout out to all my family, my friends, and the hearers out there. Do not give your kids electronic devices. Don't, because they're going to get far more affected than an adult. An adult, when you talk on the phone, a cell phone, it goes maybe halfway through your skull, through your brain. But with children, it goes right through because their skulls are not fully developed and their skulls are small, their brains are smaller. So again, scary thing to consider.
Right.
And the sad thing is that even if they don't have a iPad or a phone next to them or up against their head, being in a room that has one will still affect them as well because they're still developing. And
Right.
The sad thing is that these health dangers are just so unknown. that nobody knows about. I mean, when you look at light bulbs, for example, Zen, we started off with the incandescent bulb, from Thomas Edison days, and it took a lot of energy to light them up, and now we've replaced them because CFLs, the fluorescent lights, those swirly ones, came in, and they were more efficient with energy, but they were far more dangerous, especially if they broke because of the gases inside of them. Well, since the CFLs have come out, we have a new bulb that's come out that's called LEDs. And LED is the wave now. It's the rage, and yet LEDs are just as dangerous because these crystals that are giving out the light spectrums are just as damaging, if not more damaging, than CFLs. So what do we do when we want light at night? Go find incandescent bulbs. Go back to the old school, or candle. Yeah, just don't burn your house down.
Exactly.
Yeah. So technology has actually been really good to us in a sense of convenience, but it has not done any service for us as far as our health. It's, in fact, has been a greater disservice than a service.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And again, as you said, there's not really any studies, and nobody really knows. And certainly the medical establishment is not going to um, admit to anything. And then as far as industry, they pay to create reports and studies that negate and counter all of what we're talking about, which that's the difficulty in finding the truth.
Oh yeah, they blatantly lied. I mean, the tobacco industry blatantly lied about the health concerns, and so the FCC is doing the same thing today when it comes to, again, all of these EMFs that we're getting from cell phones and communication devices, because they are going to put out reports that said, no, there is no health concerns or damage coming from these items and products. Why? Because they've been paid off, like the tobacco industry paid off everybody else. The cell phone companies and all these companies that are benefiting from these technologies are doing the same thing. They're getting their lobbyists to go out there and say, hey, look, everything's good here. Okay, there's no health concerns. This is a great product. Look, you got one too. Okay, so yeah, it's a big lie. And the father of lies is Hasatan himself. So we know this is again coming from the all-powerful ruler of the world. And what does he want? He wants our souls, right? And he wants us dead before we give it to Yeshua.
Also, too, Zen, I was going to mention that. Speaking of PCPs, I was friends with my PCP before she actually became my doctor. So I've woken her up to flat Earth and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, she had no idea that she had like a 5G cell phone tower right outside her office window, and I'm pointing it out to her, and she's like, what can I do? Oh my gosh. So Noble and I very actively try to educate those who the Most High places in our lives, whether they be practicing doctors or, if there's an opportunity to share, I encourage everybody else to do that too, just because there's so much misinformation and then just no information. It just, like Noble said, we're just given these items and it's normalized, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome that you knew and that you're able to share with her. I mean, she must be certainly open-minded. That's amazing.
She was in our first Hebrew class that Noble and I attended after we went to Israel in 2014. Noble had a renewed desire to teach Hebrew in person. But first of all, we went to a Hebrew class that was run by actually an Israeli who moved here to Hawaii to teach Hebrew. And we just happened to sit next to this nice couple by us and found out they were both doctors. And eventually she's asking me, oh, do you have a PCP? So then I just started going to her because we were like classmates with them too. So that was nice.
Right.
That was one of the good doctors mentioned in my book. So
nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So EMFs are very dangerous, and not
Oh,
many
just so
people.
you know, we're almost at break too. 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, okay. Any questions? Any other things come up, Lisa?
No, just several comments. I mean, it seems like the audience here, like Zen's channel, there's very aware of EMFs, and they just Sherry's looking forward to your answer with the solar panels during. I told her probably second hour you'll be answering that, and also just mentioning all kinds of other information about EMFs. So they're very aware of it. Appreciating your information too, hon.
Okay.
When we get back from the break, I want you to go into how it is that you created and decided to put together the EMF blocker and your journey of what and how it led you to create those and how they work and why people should get them, because this is a very serious issue.
Okay, sure, definitely.
Yeah, but
Yeah, well, we don't know when they're going to
we
come
still
up.
got 30 seconds, so.
Oh, 30 seconds? Okay.
Yep.
Well, in 20 seconds, I'll come up with a good answer for that.
Right on. But anyways, yes, if you have any questions for Lisa
Hi,
or Noble,
my name is
please
Ella,
post them
and
in the
I'm
chat.
10
We'll be
years
right back.
Okay.
I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com. Your partnership with Sacred Word Publishing goes further than the publishing of ancient manuscripts and weekly video content.
You also make a huge impact across the earth in orphanages in Myanmar, India, Uganda, and Kenya.
Your support is crucial for the development of the ecclesia of real truth seekers.
We thank you for joining us in hosting Secrets Revealed, Momentary Zen, the Digital Readers Club, Ask Me Anything series, and other shows that have helped lead so many to the truth of salvation.
To become even more involved, please visit patreon.com/sacredwordpublishing, where you can partake in exclusive, interactive, patron-only content and help us continue shining the light of love in this darkened world.
Truth
All right, welcome back, everybody, for a second hour. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Noble, so that you can go into your journey to creating the EMF blockers, and you can share the research that led you, as far as that journey as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Zen. It was. I'm not sure how it really happened. I guess I fell right into it because I was looking at how I could shield Lisa from all of this EMFs that's inundating our bodies, and it's not like we can put aluminum foil around our entire body. It's funny where even in this one movie with Mel Gibson, he and his kids, it was in our commercial where they had aluminum foils on their head,
Yeah.
so the aliens wouldn't zap their minds or something like that. But in all truth, in reality, having aluminum foil around you actually helps shield you from these EMF. I mean, it does so much, depending on the strength of the EMF frequency. So it got me thinking that what other types of shielding is there? And I remembered how I used to play with magnets, and you try to get the north pole of a magnet and put it up against the north pole of another magnet, and how it kind of doesn't allow you to touch it. It has this invisible force field that keeps it from touching each other. If you put north to south, yeah, they'll connect, but north to north or south to south, they repel each other. And I think, wow, I wonder, if I was to put a string of these together, and would it have a energy field, or a Star Trek for put up that shield, Scotty, and if that would work. And I started messing around with that, and then Lisa got me this EMF meter that measures the amount of electromagnetic frequency going from, say, a television, or for a computer or a cell phone, outwards, to our bodies. And I'd put it between and measure, the amount of energy that was being exposed to. And so I kind of messed around with this very early prototype of the blocker that we have, and I noticed how the numbers would just slowly reduce. And I said, whoa, wait a minute, this might be something tangible here. And so I started playing around with it more, and tried different types of magnets, and came to find out that, yeah, it does actually have an effect on the energy being exposed to. And I said, wow, okay, well, this could be something that has potential. And I made one for Lisa, and again, having a necklace on you will only protect that area, behind a necklace. In a sense, you'd have to be cloaked with a whole bunch of necklaces, or a shield, or a cape, or a cloak of magnets, in order to have that total shielding effect. But the only thing that really needs the protection is our vital organs, where our rib cage exists. God gave us a rib cage to protect them, and the skull, our brains. Skull meant to protect the brain, and that was the area that, again, most people were getting affected as well. Because when EMFs goes through the body of a person, through the healthy tissues of a person, it changes the makeup of that tissue, and the organs that keep us alive are so crucial to our livelihood that if they get affected and start developing tumors, then something's wrong. And so I was thinking, okay, well, how do we do this? How do we protect ourselves? And so the EMF device that we sell now is a very local, and when I say local, it's local to where you wear it. Isaac, for example, when he goes to work at the monorail system that we have, he's in charge of looking at the monitors, and he's got tons of TVs showering down on him. He's getting inundated with all of that EMF frequencies. He wears his halo, which is the one that goes, which is like comprised of so many magnets around his chest. So I told him, put it around your vital organs, your heart, your lungs, your liver, spleen, and then wear one on your head as well to protect your brain. So at least it'll help deflect some of the signals that are coming down, frequencies coming down on you. And so again, this is again, I call it an amateurish way of protection, but better than nothing, you know. Can you be truly protected, entirely protected from EMFs? Well, like I said, you'd have to pretty much live in a what did they call it?
Bubble. Magnetic bubble.
Magnetic bubble, a Faraday cage.
Yes.
A Faraday cage is where Tesla's sitting between two giant, gosh, what do you call those things? And you see these bolts of lightning going all around.
Tesla coils.
Yeah, Tesla coils. Thank you, Zen. And he's sitting in this Faraday cage, totally oblivious to it, reading a book, because he's protected, because his cage is providing his protection. Now, if we have those type of Faraday cages to put on our bodies, yeah, then we can actually now reduce the frequency going through us. And believe it or not, if you were to go on Amazon or whatever, research they sell material, they sell fabric that has EMF protection devices in there, threading, silver threads, and other. I'm not sure how they manufacture their fabrics, but it actually resists the frequencies, and so thus it protects you. So you could actually make a suit or a gown or a dress with this material. It may not be the nicest looking material, it may not be the most comfortable material, but you are protecting yourself with the material. They make caps, beanies. I mean, there's a host of things that you can use to shield yourself from it. I've taken it to the next step where I said, okay, well, if we are getting inundated from exposure from outside of our house, I want to protect ourselves from that, because like Lisa mentioned, there's all these 3G, 4G, 5G towers surrounding us, and we need to be able to protect ourselves from that. So I went ahead and bought some EMF paint. Whether the brand is
nice.
Y Shield is one brand, and there are other brands. You can buy this paint, and you can paint it on your house, and then you can paint a color on top of it, because that's normally how you do it. Some housing associations won't let your house be painted black, because that's the paint color. It comes in black, which I think is cool, but you know, you got to deal with your association, your HOA. But I actually did that. I had just painted my house, and a couple of years later, I put the EMF paint on my house, on the outside, to protect us from the EMFs coming from these towers and whatnot. And you know what's really crazy, Zen, is that the 5G is such a strong frequency that it takes, actually, they say that the potency of a 5G tower is about 100 to 300 feet. So in order to get the full effect of 5G, you have to have a tower, or I should say a 5G device 1 to 300 feet from each other. And so when you look at telephone poles, for example, they're putting them on top of that, because now they have to make a grid of these 5G so they can operate their 5G cars, you know, their driverless cars, and they can supply the 5G network with the repeaters and stations so that they can actually now function better. And your 5G phone will have uninterrupted service. But that uninterrupted service will also give you uninterrupted health concerns. So that's why I put the paint on, because I wanted to protect my family from all of this inundation of EMFs that's coming to our doorstep. And that's
how much was that paint?
Oh, when you go on Amazon, you're gonna flip out. They sell it by the liters. I think it's a 3-liter container, which is just short of a gallon, and that was about $200 something.
Wow.
$250 actually. I got it on sale for $200. They had a special. If you consider that that's a special.
A sale, yeah.
Yeah, and if you think,
Yeah, I'm guessing there's probably not a lot of providers out there.
but believe it or not, Amazon. I bought mine on Amazon.
Yeah.
I actually called the Y Shield company in Germany where it's manufactured, but they
Wow.
wouldn't sell it to me because you have to have a building biology degree. I said, "What's that?" Building
Right.
biology. Yeah, and so I needed to. I started researching building biology, and building biology is a course. It's a course, a number of classes that provides you with understanding of what
Uh-huh.
EMFs are and the meters that they have, and it's not just, like I said, it's not just from the 5G towers. It's also coming from, like I said, the Romex, the wires in your house, from oh gosh, there's electric and magnetic frequencies that are affecting us. They're both different, and yet they both operate inside your house. Even your plumbing can give you issues because if your plumbing is not grounded, or if someone uses their electrical system and hooks it up to a plumbing, plumbing goes into the ground, so it's a great ground. But now your plumbing can also affect your house and your body as well. And that's why this is where building biology comes in. And what's his name from the conference? Brett Thomas. You know Brett Thomas, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Brett Thomas and I were talking about taking this building biology class together, and I've just been so busy I haven't had time to. But Brett Thomas understands what this is all about, and he says, "Noble, we have to take these classes so we can protect our families and also protect those that we know and love, family and friends." And again, there is a host of things to learn when it comes to protection because of the fact that we're being compromised by this new technology that nobody knows anything about. And yet there are some people out there that do know it. So when I found out that I couldn't buy paint from the manufacturer, I went to where else? Amazon, and I found it there, and I bought it from there. I paid top dollar. I mean, what is that called? I paid the price, the consumer price, with no wholesale discount or anything like that, because it takes at least about 5, 6, 7 gallons to paint your house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that can get very pricey. When you break it down.
Yeah, it's quite an investment.
Yeah, I did spend over $1,000 something to buy this paint, but my family's worth it, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, well, I heard it said this way, you can pay us now, or you can pay us later.
Yes, right.
And paying later is going to the doctors, right, and buying pharmaceuticals that don't help you because they are diagnosing you wrong to begin with. So what can you do? The ounce of prevention versus the pound of cure, right? So
yes.
That's the route I chose to go. And Lisa agreed with me. She allowed me to spend the money,
oh, for certain, yeah. I want to ask you, Lisa, did you notice the difference? What was it like for you after the before and after?
It was almost immediate. Like I just all of a sudden after the TV came out, the big screen TV came out of our room, and then after he did that paint, he did a few other things in the ceiling of our roof that he's going to describe as well. But when all of these things came together, my sleep was so much better. It was so much deeper. I wasn't waking up throughout the night. It was just, I didn't feel like I didn't have like the muscle twitching that it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. And it just, I don't know, I just overall felt stronger and like it was really a big part of my healing.
I'm guessing that, people that have like my pain is sciatic and it's a nerve pain. And, I feel like the weather especially when it rains, that's horrible for me. But storm fronts, even the change in cold and heat and all of that. And so I'm guessing that, people that are like me would have sensitivity to that kind of thing without even realizing it. And so I'm sure a lot of people are affected and don't even understand, as to why and the degree.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the sad thing about it is that physicians can only prescribe you so much for what they know.
Right.
And who's to say?
Oh,
Well,
one other question, Noble. You were mentioning that you wanted to take a class with Brett. Uh, do they offer that here in America? Because I'm thinking, that this is
yes,
kind of on the down low. So,
yes, they do.
where and how much does it cost to go through something like that? And is it a community college or,
No,
manufacturer? But
it's pretty much like a trade school, and so they
uh-huh.
develop their own curriculum and coursework, and they've got again number of classes. I think about 10 classes total, depending on the degree that you want to get, because they're
Wow.
customized degrees, and each
Wow, even a degree. Wow, that's amazing.
yes, so you actually get a certificate or a diploma, and Brett and I was talking about it, and I looked into it, and they're offering half price off now. I just saw it on my email yesterday. But the coursework, I mean, one class can cost about $3,000 roughly, one class. So
Wow.
and
This is a serious degree.
this is serious stuff. The equipment they have, you even have to fly up there to the Colorado. They have two locations, I believe. Minnesota also might be another one, where you actually have to go up there and attend the classes. They have a classroom setting, and you go there to learn and learn how to use the meters and again,
It's hands-on.
it is hands-on. It is not cheap. It is expensive. It's an investment, and actually you can actually operate. You can start your own business doing this, and that's what
Brett said.
that's what Brett and I were talking about doing, because this is something that is not known about right now. But when people start finding out about how deadly and EMFs
Right.
are, they're going to seek out building biologists. And so this is a potential, again, employment opportunity, but you got to have the capital to start it off, because it's not cheap, though they do offer discounts, and you do have to travel. And like for me in Hawaii, that's significant.
That's a lengthy journey, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but again, highly advisable, because you know why? Not only will you help yourself and your family, but you will also be helping other people. And if you make a
Right.
business of it, it'll be rewarding, because it's not cheap doing this.
That's what Brett was telling us and about how he had one of the guys had come to his house or something, and he was just shocked at how much he had to pay someone that was certified as building biologist to, what do they call that when they examine the house?
Yeah,
or when they
to diagnose exactly what type of health concerns they had there, because there's 4 types of EMFs that we're dealing with here, and so you got to get a meter for almost each one. The electrical, dirty electrical, magnetic. One thing about the magnetic thing is, like, if your ground wire and your hot wire are separated, it causes a magnetic field. And when you look at those big cross-country towers, and you have little homes that are underneath these big transformer lines, and the lines are separated, that magnetic field is so immense that they've linked leukemia to young children living in areas like that. And so,
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, and so you have that same, you can have potentially have that same type of magnetic concern in your house if your electrician that wired your house separated the ground wire from the power wire, and there's a certain amount of distance between it. That field is created because of that distance. I never knew that. When I started researching it, it's like, whoa, really? Oh my gosh, how the heck would you know? You'd have to tear up your house to look at the wires in your walls to see if
Right.
you have,
To
or
confirm.
get the meter. Yeah, have a building biologist come out and say, this is a very dangerous zone here. This room is very dangerous. This is not so bad. It's like, And I think Brett paid out like $1,000 just to have the guy come out to diagnose his house,
Remodeled or something.
Yeah, then yeah, so yeah, this is again, you pay now or you pay later. And Brett was smart;
Right.
he paid now, so it's nuts. It is very nuts. And again, it's been a while since I've taught on this topic, because for anybody that's interested, when you go to the Hebrew Hawaiian YouTube channel that Lisa and I have, we have this program called Stop the Pain. It's been a while since we've done it, but the first 4 programs on Stop the Pain was concerning EMFs. And so again, it was rudimentary. It was very basic, but I was covering areas that are important, because when I started doing the research, I wanted to share it with people that had concerns. And if you have concerns now, go back to Hebrew Hawaiian and look at what class list or what.
Yeah,
What is
the videos and also the live stream.
Video and live streams, and go to the first 4 classes of Stop the Pain program, and I talk about EMFs then as well. So it's been a while, but it's a good refresher talking to you about it now, Zen.
Wanted to ask you about as far as the size, because you provide a bunch of different types of blockers. Can you talk about, the different sizes and what that would provide as far as protection for people? And, again, a lot of this is going to be as far as, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people now in the world that are having this kind of sensitivity and that don't know where to turn to get help, because again, there's such a new problem issue, and not correctly diagnosed, not correctly spoken about or learned about or understood. And so, but I did want to mention one other thing. My friend Matt Landman, the guy that did the aerosol stratospheric aerosol injection, that brought out the information in the movie, the documentary about that information. He was working at some time on creating clothing, as you had mentioned, that had the silver, thread through it, and that did provide protection. But I'm not sure if he ever got up his because he was creating like a clothing line to help people with that. But that's something that I'll look into and reach out to him to get more information, and for somebody that might be curious on that. But I think that's an awesome idea as to, if you have the ability and the money to create something like that, that a lot of people would benefit.
Yeah, the EMF items that we have. Oh, it's on, right? Okay.
Stop playing. Okay.
We have our just 2 simple items. It's a 7-magnet wristband type of thing.
Yeah.
That you can wear around your neck, or
One size fits all.
it's kind of one size fits. And then we have one that has 69 magnets. It's called a halo. Because I thought, look, we got to give them a little bit more protection. And that was the one that I wanted to put around, wear like a headband, put around your brain, so you could keep your brain from getting, tumor infected, because of the fact that what's the most important parts are in your body, your organs and your brain, and you could wear it either or, you know what I mean, and help deflect some of the EMFs that's going that way. But I have to be honest, you probably have to get a few halos, one for your head, maybe a couple for your body, just to cover the organ areas, because your organs start from your collarbone down to the bottom of your rib cage, and that's good 18 inches, 20 inches, depending on the size of the person. And the halo, for example, is a single strand of magnets. I would probably have to make some type of netting or cape or something to provide greater deflection and protection. And again, it's something that I've been talking to the family about, in developing this, but I haven't gotten to it yet because I've just been so busy doing other things, you know. I noticed that on the chat, Kathy Derbyshire says shungite stones. That's from China. We actually ordered that. I'm not sure how that works, but they say that there are some protective properties, and there's crystals and some other things out there.
Yeah, shungite is good. I mean, you kind of need a large amount of shungite to absorb all of the EMFs from what we've done, and we've tested it with the meter, and it's effective. It's just compared to like the small magnets that we order custom made, so they're lighter for the EMF blocker and the halo. It seems like because you'd have to wear quite a bit of shungite, and it's super heavy, and the magnets are super light. I think that you noticed that with your EMF blocker that we sent you, Zen. It's light, and you hardly even notice it's on, but it protects you at the same time. So, you know, we do have some shungite we keep just in certain rooms in the house. You know, I just want to make sure that all the EMFs as possible are getting absorbed around here, so I'm not affected. But yeah, where none of us are affected.
And then even Sassy on the chat says that they have grounding sheets and grounding pads to stand on, and that's great.
Yeah, we have one of those.
Yeah, we have those too. But honestly, if you go to the website of these companies that
if you don't sow, you don't reap. You don't even.
We'll be right back, everyone.
So if you looked at your game plan tomorrow, you might come to the quick conclusion, I got to get some sowing going. How true. Get you some sowing going. And remember, you've got plenty of time. You've got all the time there is. Some people spend enough TV time to make a fortune. I asked a guy one time what his TV cost. He said about $450. I said, you forgot to look at the price tag. He said, what do you mean? I knew he was a TV watcher. I said, that television costs you, in my opinion, at least $12,000 a year to watch it, not to own it. Owning it's cheap. Watching it is what's expensive. And I said, hey, $12,000 a year is too much to pay to watch TV. That's too much. Pay a little, but not $12,000.
As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com.
In the land. And the sons of the angels of God looked upon the daughters of men and found them fair, and took of them wives, and their sons became among great men of renown. So they have been mixing with us on a genetic level since the time of Enoch and Ezekiel's will.
Free by the sun, moon, and stars in a mansion. There's got to be planets like ours. Some conceive of a face on the surface of Mars. So in need of a meaning and purpose we long. Indeed, they believe that they sight beyond God, so that maybe with time we'll do right and evolve. And eventually reach what they seek and then solve all the problems of man, but they really don't know that the works of our hands are but just filthy bricks. So we travel the lands that think about this. My lapses and within are much of the facts of my imagine that God's meaning.
All right, welcome back, everybody, for our final segment. And I apologize that all these commercials have snuck up on us. We've had really excellent conversation, and it's just, we've been caught up in the moment. So, but let me turn it back over to you and let you catch up with your thought.
Okay, thanks, then. Yeah, so in answer to your question about the items that we have, the small one that we have that has 7 magnets, and it's funny because your son Justin had one, and he said that his computer, his CPU, was right down by his leg every time he'd turn it on, and he'd feel that numbness or tingling that was right next to his leg. He actually stuck that thing, that our EMF device, right between, hung it between his CPU and his leg, and he said that he didn't have that feeling anymore. So for some people who are very sensitive, they can sense the fact that there is a sense of protection, and that's just from the little 7 magnet one. I know that where you're standing on, I put additional screening down there too. So I got 2 layers of aluminum screening, besides the 3/4-inch plywood, so I can walk on top in the attic. And so even plywood gives you some protection, not much, but some. But if you combine it, then now you've got a better sense of protection. And if you can put sheet metal up there, if you have access to free sheet metal or cheap sheet metal, that works too. Sheet metal that's metal, and frequencies bounce off metal. So the whole idea is protecting your home where you live. Getting the devices that we sell is something that you want to wear when you go out and leave your house, because you're going to get, again, limited amount of protection, because unless you have an entire jacket or dress made of this EMF material, you're going to get, again, as much protection as you are wearing. So again, that really depends on what you want to do and how much protection you want to get. And again, it's entirely up to you. It will get costly because you're trying to protect yourself, and there's always an expense to that.
Right. I was thinking as you were speaking about that, that it would possibly, you could put it like underneath the sheet. Well, for somebody that's building a house and
Yes.
that hasn't been put together, you could put it under the sheetrock and create like an entire Faraday cage of your house.
Yes, great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, and that would be so beneficial. That whole the movie that we were talking about with Obama's leaving the world, or the name of that movie.
Leave the world behind. Yeah, right.
Yeah, leave the world behind. So, yeah, and that would give you and all of your electronics protection in a time of need, and that in and of itself could be greatly beneficial.
But there is a caveat when you're going to paint your house or put screening and encapsulating your house and making it like a giant Faraday cage, because what electronics you have inside the house will keep it in the house. It'll bounce it off the walls. So that's why the router and the modem will have to go outside. If you have security cameras, you might have to rethink that one. Your smart refrigerator, your smart oven and stove, your microwave oven all have to go outside of that Faraday cage because you don't want that all that energy bouncing back and forth inside where you're. So there's going to be sacrifices made, and there's going to have to be adjustments made. When you mentioned putting it in the walls, another thing, if you're building a house, they have this thing. They used to have this before. They still have it. It's just a little bit more expensive. Remember when I mentioned Romex is a plastic coating over your hot wire, your neutral wire, and your ground wire. They have this thing called armored cable wire, where it's the same wires that's giving power to your lights and to your outlets. They're in a cable. They're in a armored cable. It's a metal jacket, for example, and that actually keeps the energy from shooting out 6 to 8 feet through the walls. And that's actually old technology. That's actually smart technology because it kept the energy, again, contained within the wires itself, and it didn't allow it to come into the household. So that's another thing. So when I do rewiring projects here in my house, I buy that armored cable and I use that instead of Romex because that's only plastic versus metal. And metal is far stronger, far better, and much safer. You just have to pay a little bit more again. Again, protection costs will cost you some money. So that's, again, things that I've done to help ward off some of the EMFs. Are we totally free from it? No, but we're a lot more protected than a whole lot of other people. So.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'm just thinking, again, because we don't know the effects, the influence of all of this as far as the EMF waves on the body, on the DNA, and, all the cut down and reduction that you're doing. I mean, it could be extending and saving your life in a way that we don't really even understand right now. So, yeah, I think it's fully worth it.
Yeah, well, there are some good resources out there that will help us to be more informed. Like some of the resources that I use in my research of this came by way of some of the books that I was reading. Like Joseph Mercola has a book called EMF *D, and this book talks about the effects of 5G, Wi-Fi, and cell phones, the hidden harms and how to protect yourself.
Wow.
So that's one of the sources that I've used in searching out and researching this topic. Other books, if you were to go on Amazon, you could find them, and these books again come by way of some authors who have studied it, and the more you know, the more power you have, because now you can make more informed decisions. Cancer and the EMF Radiation by Brandon LaGreca, and Radiation Nation by Daniel T. DeBon. These are just some of the resources used in preparing for this. And when you are feeling some ill effects, these are some of the things that you might want to look for as well, Zen. Ringing in your ears, called tinnitus. Right. Yeah, you ever have that? I had that.
Oh, and yeah. I think everybody does. Really.
Yeah. And I think it's more prevalent now than ever before because of all the EMFs that are happening. Cataract are another thing to look for. If you're, not just because you're old, but sometimes people even young are developing cataracts in their eyes. Disruption to your blood-brain barrier. I mean, sometimes impaired sleep and reduced melatonin can be a result of the EMFs that's going on around us. I mean, sometimes, if you just feel that you're not normal, not like you used to be, don't ever discount the fact that maybe you're sleeping next to your modem or your smart meter or your refrigerator. Yeah. Did you know that your refrigerator has a lot of power coming out of it? And if your kitchen is right next to a bedroom, guess what your bedroom's getting? All that energy coming from your refrigerator. So it's crazy, Zen. It's crazy. You kind of have to almost put shields up in every room to protect yourself from the appliances that you have in your house.
And before before Noble did all this research, and I was just feeling so bad. I'd pray, and I'd have this feeling like, okay, we need to go look for and move into a cave as soon as possible, or something under.
That would be so awesome.
Yes, because that's when I would feel normal, is if we would go into like somebody's basement, or like, it just seemed like kind of obvious to me of how probably the ancients used to do it, and they do have them today. Like if you even just do a search for cave homes in the U.S., there's quite a bit, but you can see why even like the what so-called elite are making all these bunkers underground, because I think that why there'll be like very little bit of flesh left if the days not be shortened, right?
So I'll soon be wearing a Fred Flintstone's outfit, and I'll be dragging Lisa by her hair into the cave. We're going back. We're going back into the olden days.
Hey, from what I understand, it saves on electricity and as far as the cave, because it's regulated, temperature wise, and so I think that's an awesome idea. So
the only drawback to caves, though, I found out, is that everybody that built their home in caves, they have some leakage problems, because sometimes the water just comes through, and
the water comes through porous.
Yeah, really nothing you can do about it. But Lisa is right, though. Living in a cave is one of the best and safest places to be, today anyway. And so, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Go cave hunting,
That would be awesome. And Lisa, did you find like a website that had cave homes and listings? Was it a specialty realty type place or what?
Yeah, they have some that just only feature cave homes, and there's actually quite a few near you that
so cool.
In Arkansas.
Really?
Arkansas, some of the highest numbers of caves in the U.S. for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with that, but Arkansas, and then of course in the drier climates. Someone in the chat earlier mentioned doing it Earthship, or using the earth bags to make homes, and that's kind of a similar effect.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, you study this, or for a while I was looking at, hobbit houses. They do have such a thing, or the dome homes that have like concrete made, and so it's like that really protects a lot, because it's the concrete is tougher to get through than other flimsier materials, I guess.
No, well, believe it or not, metal is still a better shield versus hollow tile and whatnot, concrete. But I got a question from Chadwick. He says, what is the radius of these appliances? Each appliance is different, but if it's a smart appliance, and you know what I mean by smart, it does everything for you, rest assured you're getting some EMFs from there. And again, that's on top of the electrical outlet of power that's going into the refrigerator. So you're getting EMFs from the computer, from the Wi-Fi. You're getting energy from the wiring to power the refrigerator, Chadwick. I don't know what the radius is, but if your bedroom's right next to one, you might want to consider maybe putting some type of shield up between your bedroom and that kitchen, because I can guarantee you that you are getting zapped, okay? And just think of a mosquito going into a zapper. That's what's happening to us, although we're still alive.
We're getting slow cooked like the frog in the water, really.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And it's no fun, because when you get older and your body's not as resilient, remember, these certain tumor cells live within us. They're not activated yet, but all it takes is something to activate them, like a free radical, and next thing you know, you're diagnosed as having something. And if you have a tumor, what do? Do not go to your physician, because they're going to say chemotherapy and radiation.
Right.
That's the last thing you want, because it's going to just shorten your lifespan. This is stop the pain program right now. Stop feeding your cancer. And what is that? What do I mean by that? Do not give it any sugar. And when I say sugar, I'm not talking just candy bars, okay, and Twix bars that Lisa would tell me, but I'm talking about white rice, white pasta, white potatoes, white breads. Anything that turns to sugar is what feeds cancer. And if you...
And you're not a health professional.
And I'm not a health professional.
And you should say tumor.
And I should say tumor, Lisa said. So make sure that, that if you are diagnosed with something like that, or you feel that you have something going on, stop eating the carbohydrates that will cause the sugar to turn in. So that way you can save yourself, kill it in your body, and you can come away hopefully a lot better and healthier. A lot of it is diet. So remember that.
Right.
You are what you
Which
eat.
I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned 3 books, and the second one was Cancer and Tumors, I believe is the name of the book that you had mentioned.
Cancer and EMF radiation.
Say that again. I'm sorry. You would.
Cancer and EMF radiation.
Okay.
Yeah.
About this book specifically, in the contents of what you had read, does the individual say that the EMF that it has, negative effect? Will it make the tumor grow, or how?
Well, it's the book I have is it's so technical. I mean, they're talking about, what kind of diseases you're going to get from it, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is
Wow.
of my head, and I'm thinking, how am I to share this with my audience that that's just beginning to learn this stuff? And then they says, how can you repair it as well? And then when I'm reading this chapter, I'm saying,
Wow.
whoa, even this chapter is technical, because they're talking about NAD coenzymes, NAD pH, the battery of your cell. I mean, no, honestly, if you really want to learn about this stuff, get the book, and then you're going to have to do the reading, because I don't know how I can actually communicate this high level of information at a layman's level. And I'm thinking, I really can't.
It's medical terminology.
Because a lot of it is medical terminology. A lot of it is again, knowing that the researchers here are giving us the best possible information. But this is at a level where, that I wasn't brought up in, I wasn't trained in, and so
Right.
that's why I'm not a professional, but I'm just pointing the direction to, if you need help or you want to get more information, check this out, check that out, do the research for yourself, because I can guarantee you everyone that's listening right now is being affected by some type of EMF. We just don't know it,
Right.
Well, maybe your ears are ringing. Guess what? That could possibly be the first signs of it. Don't wait for it to get bad, because it will get worse. Because I heard that China's already developed 6G and 7G technology.
Oh my gosh.
And the 6G will kill you on the spot. This is I'm talking about military grade weaponization. 6G. So what does 7G mean? if 6G is already military grade, what's 7G? Alien grade?
Death ray.
Death ray, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Want to make one other comment real quick, and then I'll get you both for final comment.
Okay.
But I was thinking about, how Royal Rife, how he was able to use frequency to disintegrate disease in the body and tumors and things of that nature. And I'm sure that, in the way that he was able to heal things or cure things, and again, this is not medical advice or any of that, but in the same way that these kind of things, especially in a spectrum that we don't see, like gamma rays, X-rays, that kind of thing, that they do negatively affect and harm the body, in the same way that, Rife was able to aid and assist the body, that things that we don't know, even probably low frequency waves are affecting us in negative ways as well. I mean, we don't know, because the study's not been done. Nothing has been really determined.
Oh, well, it does. There is studies that show that ELFs, extremely low frequencies do damage as well. And we're talking 0 hertz to 300 hertz, I believe. But getting back to Royal Rife, yes, he created that device that could actually disintegrate certain cells that were damaged, tumor cells, And
Yeah.
and he had so many different frequencies that he found out that dismantled different types of tumors. But like all good things, you're going to have organizations that's going to put them out of business, right? And I just recently did a study on him, and he ended up they took away his practice, took away his machines, and he died a poor man. I mean, and yet he was doing the public a great service.
Right.
Great service. You know, it's funny because in the olden days, when you would go to the churches that had the gigantic organs, you know, the organ players.
Uh-huh.
These organs, when they were playing, they played at certain frequencies, and the magnitude of the sound was so great that it did the same thing that the Rife machine did. It took out the diseases that was plaguing the human body. And so people that went to church to worship God and were there for worship were being healed.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And instead of cathedral, it was like cathedral from what I've researched.
Yeah, cathodes. Yeah, so I mean, and where are those now? You don't see many churches with those gigantic organs and organs that would play. And there were certain songs on YouTube. There's one song that hit all the certain frequencies that would heal the body. It's just crazy. I mean, the information you can find out, but the Rife machine does exist, but I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. In fact, Diane Cover has one.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so we were meaning to talk to her about that, but you know.
Yeah, she was describing it to us at the conference, and it's just amazing to actually know someone who owns one. It's like, wow, that technology is lost for so long.
Yeah,
right.
But I got caught up with work and just trying to pay the bills so that we could survive. That I never got into contacting her because I want to talk to her about it and her husband, because I want to gather all this information in order to, again, continue with the Stop the Pain program and offer, you know, godly free advice to people that are seeking help. And oh my gosh, you know, how Hasatan can disrail us and dismantle our best objectives, you know.
Attacking us from every side.
Yes.
They say that, you know, there's no war going on. The war is definitely accelerated. And, you know, again, the whole thing of there should be no flesh left unless the days were shortened. But final comment, we've got 2 minutes remaining, both of you.
Yeah, Lisa.
Just thank you so much for talking with Noble about this today. I think that this information, we just have to kind of be careful with all the sensory going on.
Yes, of course, right.
I think it's so important for all the listeners who are hearing this show and just kind of processing this information. Some of it might be new to you, some of it might be information you've heard somewhere else, but just the main thing is to keep each other in prayer. I mean, we know the Most High is over everything and he can heal us, but as far as this information, though, I think that it's especially pertinent now as everything is slowly turning AI and more electronics used and things that are not tested and being put out there and popularized among the younger people, like Noble was saying, especially among like toddlers or infants, children that are constantly on their phone, like, you know, 3 inches away all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not healthy. It's just kind of makes me nervous to see what might happen to them as they get older, you know, what their functioning level will be.
Yeah. And I was kind of, because I would see, oh, okay. Well, I would just see the fact that there are too many young people, children and whatnot on electronic devices as a substitute for attention. And when they should be getting pure attention from their parents, much like, you know, your son and daughter-in-law, they give the best attention to their kids. I can't believe how much attention they get, you know. So and when they're with you, you give them attention as well, but not enough parents are doing that.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media.
God bless all.
From mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information.
Thank you everybody for joining us for this video and this broadcast. We appreciate all of you and thank you for your patronage. Please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. God bless all of you in your seeking.